Australia, the land of sun, surf and stupendous waste. The Australian Research Council is given around $1 billion of taxpayer money to distribute on academic projects that are meant to help improve the country. But riddle me this, how does giving Monash University $216 million of your money to explain how the Asterix comic series is relevant to the cultural history of France do anything to improve Australia? That was just one of many grants that make you wonder what on earth are members of the Australian Research Council smoking. Last financial year, they gave grants to, well, look at this, $752 million, so Sydney's University of Technology could examine the form of temple architecture in mainland China. $458 million to help the University of Melbourne understand gender inequality in opera, and another $716 million so they could investigate how contemporary people spread ashes after cremation ceremonies. But here's my personal favourite. Bureaucrats provided $909 million so Central Queensland University academics could determine the optimal length for on-the-job napping. I'm honestly not sure what's more outrageous, that the Australian Research Council funded these projects or that universities suggested them in the first place. The spokesman for the ARC defended the process, assuring us that it's all peer-reviewed, which in academic speak means our friends all think it's brilliant. Freya, can you believe this waste of money?
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. I should point out, I think that was meant to be 100,000, not million. They provided 900,000, not 900
Sorry,
million.
sorry to burst. It wasn't as bad as I thought. No wonder you were sitting there horrified the whole time.
I was blown away and frankly shocked. I mean, nothing surprises me these days about the Albanese government, but I did think, 900 million to study Chinese temples.
So there you go. I turned it into a good news story.
It was an $887 million total that they gave out, which is still, it's $1 billion, nearly $1 billion. It was like, if you could spend $1 billion looking into Chinese temples, good luck to you. I asked the question, how do I get my hands on one of these government contracts or one of these grants? Because I tell you what, I could do some great work with that sort of money to look into these things. The real question, though, is if you're spending public money, of course, public money ought to be spent for the betterment of the public, you would have thought. And I understand that there are somewhat esoteric things that academics may be interested in, but to do it in your own time and do it with your own money. If we are paying our taxes, surely we want to pay our taxes for public funding to go towards things that will benefit us. If you're looking into, matters of healthcare and all these sorts of things that will benefit as a nation, and there is an argument for a level of funding into research that has to do with the arts or sport or whatever, because it enriches us as a nation, but I'm not sure that applies to looking into Chinese temples, for example.
And some of the research that they fund, so at the Menzies Research Centre, I was part of a team that went through, I think it was like 70,000 of these grants that the government gives out. And some of them are not just absurd, they actually undermine Australia. So they give money to academics studying how to decolonise Australia's legal institutions, promoting all sorts of wacky post-colonial theories. And that is not just providing no benefit, it is actively detracting from our nation. So there has to be a serious conversation around how do you define benefit? Because ARC, the Australian Research Council, should only be funding projects that have some sort of cultural, economic, scientific benefit to Australia. But clearly, if the people sitting on the ARC Research Board are super woke and actually don't care about the country, that's going to impact how they define benefit. So there needs to be some objective standards.
Well, the ARC should provide money so that universities can define the pub test, because clearly they have no idea what passes such a test. That would be money well spent. Peter Shergold is the chairman of the Research Grants Council, and the problem, of course, is that Jason Clare removed any political influence from it. So now we've got bureaucrats making these decisions. It would be interesting if there's a Senate estimates hearing on this, to hear members of that council explain the rationale for granting this sort of money to these spurious projects.
But the bureaucrats are ultimately answerable to the politicians. So you can say, we don't have direct political influence, but, they do, and they ought to exercise it for the good of the nation. I understand politicians may well want money to go towards the things that they're interested in, but they should be exercising their power for the good of the nation on behalf of us, because, of course, that's what we vote for them for.